Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And in this episode, we're going to continue with our conversation of bringing pets to Orlando on vacation. I'm joined at the table by our panel of experts, Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin Close.
Hi, everyone.
Agent Consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracy Heinrichs.
Hi, everyone.
And back in our production facility, we have our producer, Craig Williams.
Hello.
Again, thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you watched last week's show, you know that we talked about bringing pets to Disney and Universal on vacation. And we have more information we want to share with you, but we thought it was too much to cram into one show, so we're spreading it out into two. Last time we covered actually bringing your pets to the resort. Universal resorts, Disney resorts all now allow pets. Well, not every Disney resort allows pets, but both resorts allow pets. So we talked a little bit about the logistics of booking those, as well as what to expect when you arrive and the logistics of having your pet on property. So we want to go into some information about what's available for your pet, not specifically at the resorts, and also if you need some other accommodations for them. And specifically, we're going to concentrate on Best Friends. Best Friends is Disney's quote-unquote kennel, for lack of a better word. However, it's so much more than that. Best Friends offers things like daycare services for pets. So if you don't want to leave your pet alone during the day, you can bring them to Best Friends.
This is very, very popular with cast members.
Very popular. Yep, cast members do this quite a bit. Local people bring their dogs there, but also people staying on property will do this as well. They also offer grooming services for your pet. And if you need to have your pet washed and cut while you're here, you can do that. And also boarding services, where if you want to leave them overnight. So let's talk a little bit about their daycare. Tracy, I know you brought Finn there for daycare. First of all, where is Best Friends located on
Best
Disney
Friends
property?
is located, if you're familiar with Port Orleans resorts are, Riverside and French Quarter, it's basically right across the street from there on the same road. It would be, it's kind of convenient to the Magic Kingdom as well. There's that back road that goes up past the campground into the Magic Kingdom. So that's where it's located on property. Best Friends is also, it's like a franchise.
It's nationwide.
Yeah, like there are others. You may be familiar with the name Best Friends from your area, but they have one here on Disney property.
And it's a beautiful facility.
Oh,
I mean,
fantastic.
I don't know why we forgot to bring pictures of it, but it's very cute.
We actually toured it. If you're thinking about bringing your pet and you're here, you can drop in and let them know that you have a pet and you're thinking about coming, and they'll give you a full tour. They did it for us. They went over the pricing, and they brought us around the whole facility, showed us all the different types of accommodations we could book, and what it all entailed. And they asked, questions about the dog and the size of the dog, and they made recommendations on, they were very specific about what type of accommodations they would put him in.
This is also themed for Disney, this specific one.
Mm-hmm.
Cy and Am from Lady and the Tramp are on the outside of the building.
Right.
Several Dalmatians. It looks like there's little dog houses. It's very, very cute.
And there's giant, it reminds me of the All-Stars. There's a
Yes,
giant fire
with the
hydrant.
icons.
Yeah.
Yep, it does.
Also, I want to say this too. Best Friends is very, very clean.
Very clean.
Like you go there, there's no smells.
Right.
There's no signs of there being animals around. So it's very, very well kept, I think.
And the people that work there are very friendly and pet-centric.
Yes.
Their phone system is not human-centric.
Right. I agree with that.
Exactly.
I agree with that. That's what you should just do. Every time we have a question, like when we've been here, we want to ask them, well, we're going to go down. We're going to be in Orlando in a couple of days. Let's just go ask them in person. Because trying to call is like,
Yeah. So you were staying at the resort, or were you staying at the campground?
Actually, both. So, like, for example, last night we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside, and Finn is at Best Friends today for the day while Chris is in the parks. Yeah. We did the same thing last week, and when we came down to stay in the campground for a week, we had booked him 3 days, our 3 park days. We had booked him to be at Best Friends for the day.
Okay,
so we've done it a few times now.
Let's talk about your first experience with them.
Mm-hmm.
So did you know in advance what you wanted for him to do, or did you just go there and say, listen, I'm bringing my dog in. How do I do this?
I kind of knew in advance because we had visited them in the fall when we were up in this area without him. So we had gone, we had asked questions. We knew that we had this trip coming. So we went in, we did the tour, and we booked his spots in person in November. You want to book ahead. I had actually wanted him to spend the day in one of the VIP suites. They were all booked. Like, we couldn't get him in at all.
Yeah.
So, depending on the type of accommodation you want, I would say if you've booked your trip and you know you're bringing your dog, your next step is book best friends.
You have to.
You have
here's
to.
the deal.
They do book up.
If you're having trouble finding a hotel room, you're going to have trouble finding a spot for your pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best Friends does fill up. We find that quite often that
Yes.
we have
As
to.
soon as you know, you should make a
Right.
reservation.
For sure.
So for our purpose, because he was there for the day,
Do you need to make a reservation for
You do.
daycare?
So what this is, there's two different kinds of daycare. So one is daycare and one is day camp. So day camp is these would be the cast member dogs. These would be people in the area who are bringing their dogs here every day. And so day camp, we could not put him in. We tried to, because he does a similar kind of day camp at home, and we wanted to do something like that down here, so he was getting the socialization. They wouldn't accept him because we weren't here long enough. So with this, they interview the dog, make sure the dog's suitable for the pack. And then with day camp, this is more of a locals thing. So next year, I think we might sign him up for day camp and bring him down one day a week to be able to go. So that's something different. Daycare for the day is you actually have to get him accommodations, and he's here for the day. So
It's like using the pool.
yeah. So the same thing that you would book overnight, you book, but only for the day. So slightly a reduced rate. They have two rates, one for under 6 hours and one for 6 hours and more. And then you'll have your overnight boarding rate. So for us, dropping them off for the day, we booked it for 6 hours or longer. And they open really early in the morning, like
do.
7 or 8 a.m. before the parks open. And they stay open an hour later than the last park closes for you to pick up your dog. And then even if you're boarding overnight, there's always somebody there. With that, we had to book the indoor-outdoor space, so that's what we booked for him. And it had to be a bigger space. He's a big dog. For those of you who are listening to us and not watching, he's a 60-pound golden doodle, so he's a big guy. So we got the indoor-outdoor so he could have enough room to move around, go out and relieve himself if he had to. With that, they include a dog walk, so they'll come and actually take him out and walk him. So if he could be there for the 6 hours, 10 hours with 1 or 2 walks, and he's got the area to relieve himself. But there's a lot of add-ons. Mm-hmm. So the first time we took him, he actually needed a flu vaccination to be able to play with the other dogs and participate. He hadn't had that yet.
I want to expound on that a little bit. Because of a type of dog flu that's going around, there's a second type of flu vaccination. Our dogs actually didn't have it. And I mean, they go to the vet every 6 months. So it's not unusual that all of a sudden you were told
You had one, but you don't have the other.
And I knew before we came that he was going to need this, because before we even came down, we'd been to best friends before and we had talked to them. So we knew he needed that to participate with other dogs. But at home, they didn't have it.
No.
They didn't offer it because it wasn't in our area. It wasn't a concern. So we kind of decided we weren't going to be here very long. We weren't going to do it. We would board him, but he wouldn't do the group play. But then we had to take him to the vet for something else. And we were there, and I said, oh, what about that flu shot? And she goes, oh, yeah, I can do it. Come back in 2 weeks for the booster. So we decided to do it so that when we were here for the campground week, he had to have the booster for 7 days before, and he was a day shy. So the first day, he wasn't allowed to do group play. Mm-hmm. So that day, we added, by the time we paid for the villa or the indoor-outdoor space, and added 2 30-minute social time with one of the workers, we added 2 walks to it. We left there like $80 later, for the day. So think about it. You spend $50 a night for your dog to stay in the room with you, and then another $80 a day for him to be in the park all day.
John always says it's more expensive for Sam and Sophie to go to Best Friends than it is wherever we're going.
much more expensive for them.
Now, after that first day, for the other days he was booked, because he was up to date with his shots, he was allowed to participate in group play. So with group play, it's a 4-hour, it usually happens between 11 and 3. And so they also put them by size, so they had the bigger dogs together. And I think I have a picture of that, Craig. I don't know if it's up yet.
Yep.
And so this was a screenshot. There's a camera out there, and you can go on the website, and you can see what the dogs are doing while they're outside for group play.
And
Apparently,
I
they
just
were
want to
resting.
point out that Finn is the big light-colored dog.
Yes.
Do you see this counselor sitting back watching?
Yeah.
That is where Sam and Sophie will be.
No, Sam would be roughhousing with him. Sophie
Yeah.
would be hiding in the chair.
Sophie
Yeah.
will be behind her back.
However,
Yeah.
something is fascinating going on because they're all looking
Yeah,
in
they're
one
all
direction.
looking in the same direction. So
Apparently
something
the
is
movie's
happening.
over here in this corner.
Right, right. So, I mean, for 4 hours, so for us, this was great because this was giving him a piece that we were missing. He's used to socializing with other dogs, and he wasn't able to do that since we've been down here over the winter. So this was great for us. So we kind of have since gone out of our way. Like we did it 4 times that week. You know, when I've come down, we were overnighting, so we brought him so that he could, again, socialize with other dogs and spend the day at the day camp. I think we pay $30 for this 4 hours. We were paying $25 for a 30-minute play session with one of their cast members. So to me, adding this $30 to the cost of the villa, last time he ended up being here less than 6 hours total. So it ended up being about a $55 day.
And again, I mean, you talk about, well, this is expensive. You're paying more for them to be in the hotel. Now you're paying for them to do this. But think about your dog and think about, you know, how you would feel.
Oh, I wouldn't do it any other way.
Knowing they were there for 8 hours stuck in a hotel room.
Yeah.
I would.
I know we're going to talk about check-in process and stuff like that, but Best Friends is very thorough. You have to leave an emergency contact. You
Yes.
have to
Yes.
leave your contact number. So I get comfort out of the fact that there are eyes on them.
Yes.
So that if something were to happen, I mean, I have to, when I go away, when John's assistant Kathleen isn't staying at our house, which is how we normally leave our pets, I have emergency contacts all over this stuff, who
Right.
you can call and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what we do. We board our dogs overnight. Kevin mentioned we have Kathleen who usually watches the dogs, but every once in, I think, 7 years, she's allowed to leave. And she's allowed to
During
travel.
blue moons.
In a blue moon. No, that's not true. But once a year, she travels with us on a vacation. And so we have to board the dogs. And Best Friends, given traffic now, is about 45 minutes from our house. There are options near our house where we can board them and have them stay. Even our vet would board them if we wanted to. But we would much rather take them to Best Friends.
The options at Best Friends are more. It's
Right.
not just a kennel.
Right.
It's not storage.
Yep. So we definitely feel better bringing them there, even putting them through a 45-minute car ride.
I want to just stress one thing before you move ahead.
Good.
As soon as you know you're traveling, you should make your reservation. They're very good about a cancellation. I think it's 24. It might be 48 hours. Please don't hold. Let's say 48 hours to be on the safe side. But you are going to want to make your reservation because you will sell out. And if you want specific accommodations, the VIP villa, those sell very, very quickly.
We usually put both of them in a vacation villa. That's the bigger unit. It's got a TV. It's got a little door where they can go into a
Very
little
familiar
area.
with it.
And I got to tell you something. We have one dog that doesn't care if there's a TV. She doesn't notice anything about it. Samson notices every dog on television. And if they make any sort of dog noise, he actually tries to get in the television.
So I think that, again, for us, it seems like it's something we're giving them.
Right.
But this last time we did it, they didn't have a vacation villa, so we put them in one of the indoor outdoors. But still, we were not being on for that long, so we were comfortable with it. We've never had we always ask, and we can never get the VIP suite, ever. It seems like I think there's only 4 or 5,
Yeah, I think
6
there's
maybe.
no more than 6 for sure.
Yeah, let me explain what an indoor-outdoor is. They are in, there's a bed for each of them in there. It's 4 by 6. There's a smaller one. There's one that's 3 by 6 and 1 by 4 that's 6. We got the 4 by 6. There's a bed in there for each one. It's about 3.5 feet tall. Now, this will not work for Finn. It does work for R2. And then there is a door where they can go outside, and there is AstroTurf.
Yeah. He goes in the indoor-outdoor when he's there for the day.
Is it tall
but
enough for him?
There's one taller. So what she did was there was one extra large one, or a couple extra large ones that he was in, and when that wasn't available, she took him into the other one to make sure that he was tall enough. And because he was only there for the day, it was okay. I don't know that I would board him there for much longer than that. But
Our dogs are much smaller.
Yeah.
Ours are probably about I think Sam at the top is 18 or 20 inches tall.
Actually, when we couldn't get the vacation villa, I actually said to her, "I need you to go and tell me the height." I
know.
I measured the dogs. I measured them to make sure they were okay.
It's true.
I'm not going to go over pricing because you can find it on their website.
And it's fluid as well.
Yeah, it could
Just know
change.
that with the pricing, there are discounts available.
We get
DVC discount.
DVC
If you are
discounts.
staying on property, you get a discount for being a guest. One of the things I liked about arriving as well was they have the dog park outside.
Yes.
And so when you're dropping off or picking up your dog or coming to visit your dog, if you are boarding your dog there, you can come visit it during the day.
Absolutely.
We don't with Finn because I think it would disrupt him more. But for some dogs,
that's
they
not
would
true.
love that. It would disrupt me. Okay, I'll be honest.
Also, I wanted to point out too, you can designate other people to visit your dog.
You can.
We've had Kevin's brother go.
Yep.
And actually
Kathleen's gone up and
Kathleen's
no,
gone.
not Kathleen. Other people have gone up and
Yeah.
checked.
Played with the dogs and
And so you can use the dog park before and after. So Finn loves it. That's kind of the part of the experience for him. So as soon as we get there, before we're allowed to check in, we have to take him out to the dog park. We let him off and he runs around. And then when we pick him up, it's the same thing. He gets to go run around the dog park before we leave. So that's only for use of dogs that are being boarded there. They also have dog trails, like dog walking areas that you can use. And I believe anybody can use those trails because they're accessed from the outside. You don't have to be. So if you're maybe staying at the riverside and not boarding your dog, you may want to, check out the trail. You could not use the dog park, but you could use, the walking
I also
trails
want to
and
say
stuff.
about the check-in process. There's rush hours.
Yes.
It's before the cast members go to work, and usually between 5 and 7. And it is the check, especially when you've got somebody who is checking in who's not been there before and they have no information on the dog. The check-in process is lengthy because they are very thorough and they want to know your vet and your emergency contact numbers, and you have to provide all of your paperwork. We call it the dog passport.
Yep.
You have to have every vaccination record. Now, luckily, our vet is local, and we've done this often enough that information is all there. But we have to provide information when their vaccinations are updated. We were boarding them on a Wednesday afternoon. We stopped on a Tuesday afternoon and did the check-in process, provide their food, because they really are thorough about how you feed your dog
Yep.
and what you feed them and how often you feed them and what they're supposed to do. So we go a day early because while we stand in line, it stresses the two dogs out.
Yeah.
always, whenever we check
Yeah.
them, and we always go the day before. I bring all the food. I even type up how they should be fed, how the
Right.
treats should be distributed, because they actually put that in their system. Now, you mentioned the extra stuff. We get everything extra, and I ask if there's more.
I know. I'm the same way. It's like, how many of these 30-minute plays can I add?
Exactly. Can you just have them play all day?
Yeah.
But there's also
exactly.
things like you can have cuddle time.
Yes.
Cuddle time.
There's
And
ice cream. There's a
ice
bedtime
cream,
story.
Bedtime story.
Yeah.
So
We do
again,
not add the ice cream or the bedtime story. I'm sorry, we just don't. There is a line.
And they will provide food. They do
Yes.
provide their own food. They have kind of a house brand.
However, if you have a dog,
yeah.
our dogs are also on a sensitive diet.
Yeah. We bring our own.
Us too.
And they can refrigerate it. So we have stuff that needs to be refrigerated. They can do that. And they
She's
mark
worse
it.
than us. She's so much worse than
Oh,
us.
I am.
so going back to, you can get depending on the accommodations you get, things are included, walk, play groups. You can add extra play groups. You can add group play. You can add individual play with the counselors. If you don't think your dog is socialized enough to be with other dogs, you can just have it with the counselors. You can have a regular walk. You can have an adventure trail walk. So there's a great deal that can keep your dog occupied during the day so that they're not just sitting in a box, basically is what we try to avoid, is just having them sit there all day. So one of the things they do at Best Friends is if you leave them there for several days at a time, you get
Anything more than 2.
anything more than 2, you get an email with a little report of how they're doing, and they send you a picture. So this is some pictures. This is Samson. We get an email, and Samson's having a great time, and you can see they put a little paper collar on him with his name.
The first time I dropped him off, that shocked me. It was a little like prison.
The reason is
they took so everybody
not because it's breakaway.
Yeah.
There's no chance of them getting caught on the
Right.
fence. This is just paper. It's
But
a
it felt a
breakaway
little
collar.
like prison at first.
was
They
like-
they stripped him of all of his personal identity, and they
Put it
put
in a
this paper,
plastic bag.
and they took a comb to make sure he didn't have fleas.
Oh,
so they
that's the
combed
other
him.
thing.
Yep, they combed him to make sure he didn't have I'm looking at Chris like, I'm not leaving him here.
If you're checking in, we talked about vaccinations. They're going to take a flea comb and a lice comb to your dog before you drop
Yep.
them off. So if you think
Each time.
if you think your dog has a problem, just understand that you might be denied.
Yeah.
And again, I know your first experience was, oh, this is terrible for Finn, but think about it's really for his protection.
Oh, absolutely.
So no
There's
other dog has
absolutely no
flea
doubt about
ticks.
that. It was just so. And keep in mind, we have never boarded him.
Yeah.
We've never been to a kennel. We're very lucky at home. We have pet sitter. We have family that watch. So I've had zero, and I was already anxious about it. So, and then, they strip him of his identity and he gets this paper thing. It's like, I was waiting for the jumpsuit. Like, what is happening?
Now, I want you to know that the report that they send you is basically just a picture, and every email says the same thing.
There's Sophie.
I am having as good a time as you are on my vacation. With Samson, I believe that. With Sophie, I don't. But at the end of, they fill out a report every day. So you have a report card every day. Sophie played with the other dogs. Sophie is leery of new people. It takes her time to warm up. Samson will go home with you and show you where the safe is, kind of thing. So you do get a report card every day, so you know what your stay has been like. But
Also-
halfway through, you do get a picture.
Also, they can be extensive. It's even as much as, what their bathroom habits were when they stayed.
Right, if there was
their
something
feeding
changed.
habits, right?
Yeah.
So,
Sophie wouldn't eat her breakfast this morning.
When Finn
I don't
does
know if it's like one person at the end going, "Oh shoot, they're picking up their pet. Let me fill out 7 of
fill it
these."
out, yeah.
But it feels good. It feels like
I know when
maybe-
Finn does the play group, he gets a paper at the end when we pick him up, and it says these were his friends today, and he enjoyed
Right.
playing in the water, and he did this and he did that.
Now, if you've stayed there, if you've boarded your dog there before, they have a giant TV when you come in. And if you let them know when you're coming in, it says best friends welcome Samson and Sophie, and their pictures are up on the TV when you go in. They don't know that. John and I are ecstatic. And we get squealing. Look,
But let's be honest, this is all for us.
exactly what I
It's
was
all
going to say.
theater.
This is all for us because we feel bad that we're leaving them.
Yep.
We're worried about them. We're stressed about them. And they know this. They could put on here whatever they want for whatever number of minutes, for whatever number of charge. And I'm going to add every single possible thing I
Exactly.
could. It's just the way it is.
if I buy you a baby carrier, will you carry him around on your chest?
And Chris knows this going in. He just steps back and he's just like, just have at it. Just
And
do
what's
what you want to
ridiculous
do.
is for our dogs, we know Samson is social and he'll want to play with other dogs, and Sophie isn't. So we book one group play, and we book one private play because we know Sophie will get attention. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
I make her sound like a little weirdo, and she kind of is, but she's our little
They
weirdo.
have different personalities. I was going to say something. I forgot what I was going to say. Shoot, my brain went. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
We, best friends works best in our opinion if you let them know when you're coming. And even though you have a reservation for the day, if you let them know a general time frame, they usually have your suite villa room ready. I also find that, like, when we got off the plane, when I got in the car, I call best friends and tell them we're going to be there at this time or within this 15-minute thing, and they have your stuff ready. It makes the check-in, check-out process, which, while they're doing a very thorough job, if you're just waiting, it can be very tedious
Yeah.
and long.
How about that question? If there's an emergency, do you approve us to go to a certain dollar limit, or do we have unlimited to have your dog fixed?
That's why you leave a vet number, and that's why you leave an emergency contact. And the answer always is, go through the emergency contact. Because if we're away and Kathleen's away, there's somebody here that will say, Kevin and John will pay anything.
Yeah,
but
and
I even signed
just
that thing.
I signed it, and it literally says, because it says, do you have unlimited or only spend $300? I'm like, unlimited.
Unlimited.
Like,
Can you imagine putting
unlimited.
a $300 limit on your dog and having them come back and say the dog died? It was $399.
Exactly. You only approved 300. It was 324. Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
was a
it's
good
just-
dog.
When I signed that, and they had already stripped him of his identity. I thought, what am I doing?
Right. So I guess
But-
we had boarded our dogs before in other places.
Right. So
we
yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
as bad. And again, this is much better
That's what I understand from everybody I've talked to.
than any place we
that
could
this
go
is
or want to
head
go.
and shoulders above.
In every place else we've ever boarded before we knew about best friends, and I don't mean to be crude, but it was dog storage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There were, it was just dog storage. It was a kennel with food,
I'm
and they would
surprised
take
at
them
how
out
many
for a walk.
places don't have somebody at the facility overnight
Right.
where you board your dog. That shocked me.
We used to go to one place. She was really good. She lived like a minute away.
But had motion sensors and
Motion
video
sensors, so
cameras.
She was
Right.
really good. I remember what I wanted to say. With the villas, you're allowed to bring something like extra for them. Like for the most part, the smaller accommodations, you can't bring a blanket. For the villas, we're allowed to bring one of their kennels. And what I really like is we can walk down with them, get them settled, get their stuff in place the way we want it to be settled in place, and then
Because we have smaller
Walk away from
dogs,
dogs.
we have smaller kennels than you would have with
Right.
Finn. And we find that they both
Yes.
get comfort out of having a place to go and disappear for a little while. So it's nice to have the bigger accommodations. We put their kennel in there, and that gives them like a little bit of, it's like their own condo kind of thing.
I guess what I want to stress is they're really good. They really understand pet owners. They know that, they have it's not sort of like you can't go behind this line. You can't see what's going on. They want to be transparent.
Their prices are online, and you can call their phone tree and get a great deal of information, directions, hours, that kind of thing. If you want to talk to a live person, just be prepared. You will celebrate a birthday before someone answers the
It's very
phone.
long. And again, our last check-in process, even though we went ahead of time, was quite long.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be because there were 3 dogs ahead of us and nobody knew what they were doing and they had to fill out the paperwork.
And if you have a dog that's at all hesitant, the lobby can kind of be loud.
Yeah.
Because
It's hollow and
it's hot,
there's
it's
a lot going
concrete
on.
floor, so they can hose it down. And there's a lot of dogs coming in, and everybody's very excited because they're going someplace different, and they're very excited to see each other. So it's you have to be patient.
I think in the grand scheme of things, I think if this is something you want to do, you think your pet would enjoy it, you should do it.
I from somebody who hasn't done this and who was anxious about doing it, we do it all the time, and we will do it as we come down. As we're here next winter, we will drive. We're about 2 hours from here. We'll drive here to let him spend the day here because it's that good, and the socialization aspect is great for him. 4 hours to play with other dogs.
I've
It's
looked
good
at a
for
lot
him.
of places. I won't leave my dog any place where I don't do an inspection first. I want to see what I'm looking at. I want to see what we're getting. I'm willing to leave my dogs here, and that to me is a huge compliment.
I also want to point out, too, this is not something that as travel agents we make money on. There's no commission to us for
we can't book it for you.
can't book it for you. So, I think hopefully you'll take that as
Yeah.
part of our recommendation that it's
And also, if
worth
you're
it.
here, it's kind of far from Best Friends. It's a 40-minute drive, but we have a vet that we recommend highly. So if you're here and there's an emergency situation, you can contact one of us, and we'll give you a vet name.
Excellent. What's the one?
Yeah, I just want to add that figured out, I talk about the cost and stuff, and that's only for, I want people to really think about the logistics of taking your dog on vacation. It's a lot more involved than, oh my God, I get to take my dog to Disney. Isn't this awesome? I don't have to pay for, pet sitting at home. You're going to pay here,
Much more.
whether on the night. So just think about it. And if you are going to do it, like we are going to do it again, we're going to come stay again, I'm sure, with him. I'd like to spend another week on property with him. I think for us, it would probably be over the cabins because we can go to the parks. We can put him at Best Friends when we're at the parks. But then we have, the dog park to go to. We have the trails to walk. We have places to be with him at the cabins. We can have our meals there.
This will definitely, bringing your dog, unless you're willing to leave him or her alone in a hotel room or a cabin, this is going to limit where you can go and
does.
what you can do.
Yep, it definitely, and for us, that's okay. We're lucky. We get to come a lot. This isn't a one-off for us. But just think about the whole thing. And for those of you who are really, really concerned about Disney allowing dogs and what this was going to do to your park, and Disney fans are entitled in a way that I don't think many others are. Everybody feels a responsibility. If you're a Royal Caribbean fan, you feel like you have some say in what Royal Caribbean is doing. But I think with Disney, it's because we go to the parks, we buy the movies, you feel more invested. But if you're concerned about this, I have to tell you, I know I'm a dog lover, but from a personal experience, it is just not as earth-shattering life-ending as you think it is. It really, I think they're handling it well. I think there's some kinks. There's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be the 1%. There's going to be the 1% of the annoying family, the kids, the dogs. It's not.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. It's not chaos. And most of us dog owners, we're very responsible people. We want our dogs to be, our dogs' welfare is our number one concern. So I hope this gives some comfort to some people who are concerned.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for participating in the conversation. Nothing more fun than sharing stories about our pets.
And pictures.
And pictures. Again, thank you everybody at home for listening and watching. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.